Peace and welcome to another episode of Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rochelle Etienne Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. Season 4 of Artistry is powered by Words, Beats, and Life. Hey, peace. And welcome to Artistry, where art meets industry. We are Rochelle Etienne Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. Happy Wednesday, folks. If you are joining us for the very first time, welcome to the Artistry Podcast, where we are joined by visual and performing artists or arts administrators to discuss their creative journey. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you are returning and you are subscribers to our podcast, welcome back. Yeah. Today's guest is a radical, ratchet, and revolutionary Puerto Rican rapper known for decolonizing. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. Teamwork make the dream work. High
Lord
five
have mercy. You know it's already been a week, people.
Man,
okay, it's been a week, but we'll that's for another day.
Yes, it is.
Decolonizing mind. Thank you. Why can't I say it? I'm just gonna keep going.
It's all right. Just go.
This guest, okay, born and bred in Chicago. She is an MC, a speaker, a hip hop educator, author, and proud U.S. hip hop cultural ambassador. She has traveled across the seas and land, sharing and facilitating hip hop diplomacy programs. She's collaborated with organizations like Universal Hip Hop Museum, which will be opening soon.
Yes, indeed.
Google, the Aspen Institute, Spotify, and many, many more. She works with youth to explore their power and the power of hip hop as a transformational tool. In 2019, she was the Vital Voices and TRESemmè Women's Leadership Incubator Fellow and was named Best Hip Hop Artist by Chicago Reader in 2023. Please welcome to the show, Miss Pinqy Ring is in the house, folks. Pinqy Ring.
Y'all got the reggae horns or not? Because I got them on deck all the time.
I know.
I love
next
it.
time we got it for the next one. We got it for the,
I love it.
Good to see you, sis. How you feeling?
Oh, good to see y'all. My favorite couple here, y'all. They're my favorite beings on earth. Just goals.
Thank you, boo.
Man, we appreciate it, sis. Thank you.
Can I just say, well, two things. One, welcome to the show, and welcome for being the first female to the show for this season. Yeah. I mean, I've been telling folks, it's not going to be just a sausage party. We got the ladies coming. It's just, it's summertime, folks. It's a schedule. So we are so happy to have you. And for those of you that have watched have been seeing our flyer, she is also the first where we incorporated color because we only do black and white.
You know what I'm saying?
But we had to do something special for Miss Queen.
It's only right.
For Miss
I noticed that and I was gonna say something, but then I was like, let me not say nothing because I'm
right.
No, it is all right because it was done on purpose. We were like, look, okay, it just works.
We don't do this for everybody, but we got you. We got you.
Don't get used to it, yes. Don't get used to it.
I mean, this is a one and done thing.
One and done.
One and done.
Absolutely.
It's history.
First and foremost, sweetheart, how have you been? Because I know the last time we all seen each other was, of course,
it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. And so how has life been treating you these last couple of years?
Well, like a lot of artists, the panini, I call it the panini was, difficult on us and the arts industry and creative entrepreneurs. It was really difficult for us because when we were so used to moving and grooving and being outside and being able to perform our art and do our art, it really forced us to go inside literally and figuratively. So for me, that meant I was literally always on the go, always doing something. And I equated my worth with my output and my work. And so that was the time to really be like, who is Pinqy Ring outside of the MC? And it allowed me the time to just love on Marisol, right? And love
Right.
on baby Pinqy, and just really figure out a few things that needed to be figured out, that had that not happened, I would not have been afforded the time to do that. I probably would have burnt out.
Right.
So I know we talk about the pandemic, and you know, it was a very obviously negative thing, but for some folks that were able to find the gems and the lessons in there, like, it was a really powerful way for folks that were nonstop to just really stop, center themselves, and rest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's so true. I mean, unfortunate. It was difficult for a lot of folks, but there was also a blessing for a lot of folks as well. So
Absolutely. And since then, now that the world is open, like, people won't stop. They're like, Pinqy, we do this. Pinqy, how about this? And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm glad I got that rest, right? And I think just like as Black and brown folks and as musicians, we don't value rest enough.
Rest,
right?
yeah.
The music industry is grind culture, and you gotta output, and do. So I'm glad that I had that time, because now I always say that I'm busy, but I'm not burnt out. Right. And had it not been for that time that I was able to rest, I would have very much burned out and probably just not been doing this work anymore. So shout out to the people that are paying me now and just got me busy, booked, and blessed.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
That's a bar right there.
Listen, I'm here for it. But also, like, give me a second. Also, give me 1 second, please.
Right. Well, we were happy that you were able to squeeze us in, because I know you stay busy.
For sure.
But we're gonna go ahead and get started. Born and bred in Chicago, specifically grew up in the Humboldt Park neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois. What was your first introduction to the arts? Was it performing arts or was it visual arts?
So I have to just correct one thing, because everyone thinks that I'm raised in Humboldt Park. So Humboldt Park is a Puerto Rican neighborhood here in Chicago. And so everyone's like, duh, you Puerto Rican, wepa, you from It's interesting, because Humboldt Park for me was like a representation of my Puerto Rican heritage and culture. So that is a neighborhood that, like, adopted me, even though I wasn't born and raised there. Shout out to Humboldt Park. I love Humboldt Park so much. I do live there now, though. So here.
So we can claim it. You could claim it.
We can, absolutely. And they know, and they claim me. I claim them. Like, it's just, that's family. But interestingly enough, like, my introduction to, like, the arts and just creative expression in general was writing. So was not hip hop, was not songwriting. I never, if you would have asked 4th grade Pinqy, like, what she was going to be when she grew up, it was a marine biologist, period. That was that. I was going to be a marine biologist. I love dolphins. I love the ocean. I love sea life. I loved all of that. And so that girl was also an avid writer. So I remember finding a story that I wrote. I can't remember what grade it was. My mom, like, I call her an emotional hoarder, and I'm the same way. Like, I hoard emotional items. It's really ridiculous. So she had this story, and I found it, and I was like, oh my God. So I opened it and I read it. And it was like a young girl battling with her sexual identity. And I'm like, I was ahead of my time. Like, who is she? And always an activist, always an advocate, even before I knew what those words meant or what that work could look like for a young Puerto Rican girl from Chicago. So always a writer, always a poet. A lot of people don't know that I skipped a grade, and they sent me to a magnet school. So really, really smart, but just not challenged in school. And so the interesting thing was that when I found hip hop, I really found, like, home. I found a calling, and I found a way to genuinely and authentically share my story through this medium that no one taught me. Like, no one in my family listened to hip hop. No one put me on. No one was like, start here, go here. This was at the time when Napster was popping. So I'm aging myself now. Folks are on Napster. What? Napster who? So this was the time when we were able to download, aka steal. We were stealing music at the time. And I would burn CDs in my car and just drive around and learn the lyrics, write down the lyrics, because we also couldn't Google.com any of the lyrics. We had to rewind the tape and listen, or bring the track back. And so hip hop was something that I found on my own, and then I had to teach to myself. But it was always that writer, right? It was always that person who could write her story, write her feelings. And sometimes the story wasn't directly mine. Like I would write, even my first songs, I would write stories about a young woman, and they were things that I was going through, but I would, put it under the facade of like this other character, this fictional character. So until I got to the point where I could really own my own story and feel comfortable enough telling that story, it was it was this young girl who was expressing herself through writing, through poetry, through fiction. And that's why it's really cool that I ended up becoming an author, because that's something that I also always wanted to do, was to be in a book or to be part of and be a published author. So that was sort of my journey and my introduction into hip hop. But before hip hop, it was always writing. It was always pen to paper.
Dope. And so it got me thinking, right? Because, we talk to a lot of different hip hop artists, and most of us, well, not most of us, but a lot of us gravitate to emceeing, writing. But I'm always curious to know, like, if you weren't writing and you're still a hip hop head and you had to pick another element, which is the one that's calling Pinqy Ring?
What a good question. I do them all in my head. Okay. My pop rock is A1. Do not even in my head though. Right. Realistically, if we didn't meet, let's not even try to do that. I have a friend, B-boy Kareem, that I met through Next Level, which Substantial was also a part of. He's like a famous B-boy, and I'm always telling him, like, I taught you everything you know. Like, you did it just like I taught. He gets so mad at me because he's literally like Red Bull champion, all these things, and I'm like, yeah, I showed him that. That was the thing that and then that was me. I did that.
I love it.
But I think for me, the element that I would and dabbled in just quickly, briefly. So please don't try to test my skills. Was DJing.
Nice.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see that.
I could, because I love music so much, right? And I would like burn these CDs, these mix CDs. I would make them, I would burn them, and that's what DJs were doing at the time. They were dropping mixtapes, so I would burn these mix CDs of like just this amazing eclectic, and it wasn't just hip hop either. It was rock, it was Spanish, it was everything. And so I remember I got kicked out one of the 27 times I got kicked out of my house. I was staying with my friend in Humboldt Park, and he was a DJ. Shout out to DJ Extreme. And for a quick second, he was showing me how to do it, and he was like, "This is really, really promising." And I was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stick to rapping." DJ Pinqy Ring.
I can see it, bro. You already got the look.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
You never know. Like,
it'd be you and help. Look, it'd be you and Shell, because. So listen. Here we go. Let me expose her real quick. Give you some tea real quick. For those of you watching who don't know, who've been following us for quite some time, Shell even has a DJ name, right? She took DJ lessons, the whole nine, right? And so she was gonna be DJ New Rock. That was it right there.
Ready. Yeah, I was so ready.
Yeah, she tried her hand at rap at one point too. We'll save that for
another. Talk about that. Okay,
talk about it. But DJ New Rock, I'm here for DJ New Rock though.
Right, you know what I mean.
And she still might come out. She still might, I'm telling you, I'm ready.
And people ring together. Who knows?
That is,
girl. I'm so ready.
We're gonna Twitch stream it out. Is that what the kids are doing on the interweb?
Right.
Right.
Why not?
A girl can dream, man. Right. I could dream. Listen. But speaking of your name, I love the name so much, and I think it's so fitting. But we went down the rabbit hole looking, through images of you and the history, and I'm wondering, like, what came first? Was it the name or was it the hair?
The chicken or the egg?
Right. What came first? Because, honey, when I say I went down the rabbit hole looking, I was like, you have been consistent for like a decade at least, if not more.
She got cleaners. You know what I'm saying? Families, folks out here cleaning the internet of any evidence.
Of
Pinqy Ring without the.
I was like, she was born with it. Was born with it.
Sure.
Okay.
I was 100% born with this hair. Don't let my mother tell it, but I was. It's really funny. This like inspires 12 stories, but I'm going to keep it brief. So the name came first. I had a different rap name, and I met a manager who was like, absolutely, it was real hip hop. It was so hip hop. I don't even want to share it. I don't even want to, maybe I don't know. I'm gonna let me just pray on it real quick to see if this is something Spirit wants me to share.
No pressure. No pressure.
Embarrassing. But I had an MC name first, and I met a manager when I was 17, and he was like, absolutely not. And I did not wear pink. I did not like pink. I'm actually naturally a redhead. So they used to call me Fosforito when I was a little girl, which means little matchstick, because I was literally a fire. Wow. Like, I was like, what you mean God is sending me to hell and all of these other religions except for Christianity? That don't make no sense. I was literally like, what you mean I can't wear pants? Like, this doesn't make any kind of sense. So being a redheaded Puerto Rican by itself, already I'm an anomaly. I'm a unicorn, right? Like, and so people don't know that about me, and I get freckles and everything. So I was very much a tomboy, and I hate that term now because it suggests that girls, shouldn't do things that young men are doing. However, at the time I was into wrestling. I played Little League baseball. I wasn't really good. Like the coach would tell me to get hit by the ball so I could get the bases, but I won MVP. Okay. So let's just make sure that the people know baseball is also part of my forte and my skills, but not really. And so I hated the color pink because it represented all things girly and feminine. And we got
it's an alert.
It's happening in Chicago, apparently.
Right.
Who did it and why? It's not me. It wasn't me.
Right.
So didn't like pink. And then in high school, there's the hood version of this story, and then there's the PC version of this story.
You're good. You're good.
What do we want on art?
No, I mean, we're good with the hood version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to clean things up and PC them up.
Oh no, you're good. I'll just go ahead and add the explicit sticker. You know what I mean?
That needs to be the tagline for this ARTdustry. Good with the hood, because
right.
Let's just put that out there. Okay, so I digress. I started dating a boy, and his there was a gang culture in Chicago. The gang that his family was associated with, their colors were black and pink. They were called the Imperial Gangsters, and their mascot was the Pink Panther. And so once I started dating him, I was like, gangsta, right? I'm down for my man. I am down for my man. I guess I could wear some pink. And so since they were the Imperial Gangsters, they were G's. This was around the time when 50 Cent was popping, and 50 Cent, I will always say, in my formidable years as a rapper, was very influential to me. 50 Cent, but also like G Unit, and more than that, Lloyd Banks. Like when we're talking about lyricism and MC,
Lloyd was dirty.
Banks is the one, right? So that was what I'm listening to as a budding rapper. And so we had this place called the Mega Mall in Chicago where you could get anything airbrushed. And so I got a pair of pink pants. And I got G Unit airbrushed on the butt because of the girl in the G Unit, one of the first G Unit videos. She walks by and it says G Unit on the butt. And so I got so much attention from wearing these pink pants with G Unit on the butt and wearing pink that I started wearing pink more and more and more. And then everyone just started calling me Pinky. And I'm like, I hate that name. Like, that is absolutely not the name that I want to be called, because everybody in the hood is Pinky and I don't want to be just another Pinky. And so very long story short, eventually it just stuck. And my manager at the time was like, okay, if you're going to be Pinky, figure it out, because you're going to be Pinky. This other MC name that you have, that's not going to work. So you need to be Pinky and figure it out. And so I ended up, adding Ring, Pinqy Ring, changing the K to Q for Queen. And it was her story ever since. And then I dyed my hair. I worked at a hair salon, went to Italy, studied abroad. I did the hair chop. I was still redheaded at the time. Chopped my hair, did dark brown on the bottom, blonde at the top. Came back. My mother wanted to murder me. Worked at a hair salon. They dyed my hair. And I only went back once to red hair color. And that's because I had a partner at the time who just did not like all the attention that I was getting from being Pinky. Like, he's like, it's like a different person. I don't like it or whatever. It was just an insecure man, and we know what's happening in the news and the media currently. You know, a lot of them out here on these streets. And that's really what it was at the time, is I let myself change who I was to help subdue like someone's jealousies or someone's
insecurities
and fear of the power that I exuded and just stood in by being my authentic self, by having radically pink hair. And so I went back, we broke up. I went back to pink hair and I have not changed it since. And I always said, what if I do change it, like I'm just sort of done, right? With this industry, with this. And let me tell you, there's 27 times that I've wanted to be done and wanted to quit and wanted to not do this anymore. But my hair is sort of a reminder. It's that branding. Is that look at what you've been through. Like literally, my hair's been this color for like 13, 14, 15 years, maybe. So it's like a commitment to this thing, right? To this brand, to this movement, to this legacy that I'm trying to create for women who can stand in their power and be authentically themselves in any space or place. I go into a high school or I could go into a corporate event and this is who you see, this is who I am. And that doesn't mean that I am anything less than intelligent and capable and all of those things. Like we can look like this and do lots of different things.
That was beautiful. Oh my goodness.
100%. And I mean, one of the things, you know, like we rock with you for a lot of different reasons, but just from a marketing standpoint, right? Like, you know, we're gonna celebrate all that makes Pinqy Ring. You know, in terms of that the activism, you know, the music, the bars, all of these different things. You know, how you big up your community. But like just from a marketing standpoint, the moment I met you and realized what your name was, did my deep dive and learned about you, like it's great marketing. It's great branding. Like you do an excellent job of establishing and building your brand and making it very clear. And so, you know, I definitely, for anybody watching this who isn't familiar with Pinqy Ring, definitely do your homework and just really do a deep dive and learn about her, because it's a masterclass at marketing yourself as an indie artist and establishing your brand. She really is. So definitely clap it up for you once again. You know, yeah, you already know.
I really appreciate you saying that, because when we're in this industry and we're doing it by ourselves, like literally, y'all, when y'all look at everything I do, that's just me. There's no manager, there's no marketer, there's no social media person, none of that, right? And we question, right? Like, am I doing a good enough job? So I really appreciate you saying that, because the proof is in longevity, right? And I've been doing this for a long time and I'm still busy, booked, and blessed. So I appreciate you saying that and pouring into me, because sometimes I'm like, what and why?
No, listen, you know, I mean, I definitely, because of the work we do, right, for our business, you know, I mean, today I was scheduling these music business classes that I teach all the way out into October. So I'm just always thinking about, as an indie artist, a lot of times, you know, we sometimes, because of some of the community work stuff that we do, because, you know, we're making a certain type of hip hop and it's not necessarily what mainstream is doing per se, people don't always look at us as being very brand focused and building it a certain way, because that's something we typically associate with bigger artists. But it's one of those things that as an indie artist, when someone like you comes along and does it really well, you know, and I like to throw myself in there as well, it helps to maintain that longevity that you're talking about. You know, and it's one of those things that, like, if I'm walking through a place or a mall or wherever, and I see someone that has the same color hair as you, I'm probably gonna think about you first,
right?
Before I'm like, this is just a regular person living their life. No, that's Pinqy Ring.
No, that's
or maybe she's a part of her, or whatever you call your fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the Pinkies.
You know, yeah. But it's really dope, and I love the name as well, because it's like, you know, I think when we think of Pinqy Rings in general, right, that's like associated with bosses, right? Like boss status, like you running things. So like, I love the play on like celebrating your what makes you a woman and celebrating other women, but at the same time being like, yo, but I'm a fucking boss too, though. Right. You know what I mean? So it's dope.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Pinqy Ring, like, people are like, that's materialistic, or, you know, like you're and I'm like, that's actually not. Like, first of all, I talk proudly about how broke I am sometimes. We manifest the money. We manifest the money. We manifest in rich husbands too. So if you out there, hey, I love you. I love you. Yes. But it's more about like you said, right? Like stepping into your power, that big boss energy. But also respect, right? Like every rapper talks about their pinky ring. Every rapper got a line about their pinky ring. And so that was it for me, especially in my formative years as an MC, when they're ciphering and whatever, and dudes are spitting. The minute I come, they're like, yeah, whatever, move out the way. You need to hear her. You need to see her. You need to listen to her. And so really it was the representation of that respect that I would get, and the way that people would want to show me off in my community for putting in the work, right? And for being a dope MC, period, regardless of gender, right? That's the main thing, is regardless of gender, I'll out-rap anybody in this place, not this place, because substantial, I don't know, substantial got bars. You ain't
got to do that. It's okay. I ain't the other guy. I ain't that guy you left. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Listen, I be telling this one here, you know, I be telling her, I'm like, listen, you know, because she going back to school for a master's, all that. So we waiting, you know what I mean? We waiting for them crazy checks come through so I can do my Stedman thing. You know what I mean? Get away from Oprah. You know what I mean? House husband.
He trying to be home, honey.
Trying to be home. Barefoot, making sure dinner ready. You know what I'm saying? And these babies kept in line. You know, straight like that. You know, I work hard, man. So I'm trying to chill.
Right. I want a break too, right?
You know, listen.
No, but you know, you said something. I mean, speaking of, you know, developing, you're honing in on your craft and you know, making sure that, you know, you fill any space that you're in. And so thinking of like young Pinqy and the Pinqy you are now, how did you develop your style? Like, what was your go-to? What was your practice? What was your foundation for creating who we see today?
What a great question. And, you know, shout out to my therapists, plural, right? Because I've been through a few of them in my, I'm celebrating 10 years of being in therapy, you know, and like that is really important because, you know, I grew up in a culture. First of all, I grew up in a Pentecostal household, right? And so that means they tell you what to wear, what to think, what to do, what to say, how not to act, who not to speak to. Don't talk about that thing that happened. Don't out these people that did these things. And so, first of all, growing up in that culture where my identity was given to me and I wasn't allowed to sort of figure out what that could look like for myself, it was very stifling for me growing up. And what happened was that I definitely veered the path and like rebelled like a MFer, you know, like I can recall that angry, hurt teenage girl, even up until my 20s, right? That I was acting out because I didn't know any other ways or recourses to deal with trauma and to deal with issues and to deal with, you know, my mental health. And that's why I'm such an advocate for mental wellness and therapeutic services and spirituality and whatever that looks like for people. We are already burdened and bludgeoned by this world. What are the places and spaces where we can remain soft, right? Who are the people that can remind us of our power when we forget? And that's like my therapist now, that's my homegirl. Like we tell each other all the time, if she was my therapist, like this would be my best friend. There's sometimes she's like, I want to tell you something and I can't because I'm your therapist. And I'm like, just tell me, give me the tea, sis. Give me the tea. But just like, she's a Latina woman. She's just like, we be cursing, like she'd be like, fuck the patriarchy. And I'm like, that's exactly right. Like having someone, you know, that reflection, right? Like that you can see yourself in these spaces and that you can recognize and acknowledge that I'm perfect, right? Just the way I am. I don't have to change who I am or how I am to fit any of these ridiculous societal standards for what women need to be like, what Latinas need to be like, what women of color need to be like, what Chicago women need to be like, what rappers need to be like. Like I get to live in my own lane because I have someone who celebrates that at least bi-weekly. I have someone who's reminding me of my power. And so that's really one of the things, like when I think of that angry young girl, is I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have someone to listen to me. And so I was acting out in all the ways that were not beneficial to my health and wellness, because that's all I knew, right? This is a survival skill. I'm just surviving at this this point.
Right.
And so when I think of baby Pinqy and I think of myself now, like I'm always talking to her and I'm always calling on her and I'm always reminding her and telling her that she's safe now, telling her that she's seen now, telling her that she's worth taking up all the space. I don't care what anybody says, take up all that space. It does not matter. Because growing up, you know, there's this saying in Spanish culture, que te ves más calladita, te ves más bonita, which means you look prettier when you're quiet. And they say this to young girls, right? Like, you look just prettier, just don't say nothing, just do the thing, serve your husbands, go to school, get the degree, but don't step out too much, don't have too many thoughts, don't. And so now I'm like, oh, hell no, that's why I'm loud, right? I'm boisterous. I'm pink as hell. I'm cursing, but I'm smart and I'm, taking up space and I'm encouraging other people, particularly other young women, to do the same. So for me, the way that my therapist is a reflection that I need, like, I know that when I'm on social media and I'm making stories or making content or writing music or on a podcast, I have to be authentically myself because that gives permission to someone else to be like, I should be myself as well. And myself is more than good enough. It's not just enough, right? It's more than good enough. It's perfect and it's purposed. And so I'm really grateful for that journey. It was a journey. I went through a lot growing up, but when I look back, I'm like, wow, I'm healing, right? Because we're never healed, right? It's always a journey and a process, and we don't really ever get there all the way, but man, I'm so grateful and I'm so proud of the strides that I've made and the ways that I've grown. And even just the ways that, like, speaking about these things come so naturally to me. Whereas before I was second guessing and maybe I'm not saying it, maybe I don't sound smart enough. Maybe I'm not.
Right.
And I was like, it flows. And a lot of that is my connection to myself through mental wellness and that journey, but it's also my connection to source, to God, to spirit, to my ancestors, that like they just pour into me all the time. And what I need to say comes easily because it's not coming from me, right? I'm just a vessel on this earth. It's coming through me, and then I give it to the masses. And so I'm grateful for those experiences because they made me who I am today, and they allow me to use my platform in this sort of way.
That's dope. Yeah. Hey, for those of you just tuning in, we're here with Pinqy Ring. We're going to take a quick break to big up our sponsor, who was actually the led to the introduction, how we met Pinqy Ring. So shout out to Words, Beats, and Life. So we're going to do a quick ad from them, and then we'll be back with more Pinqy Ring. All right, y'all hold tight. Peace, my name is Stan Robinson, also known as Substantial, and I teach the business of music at Words, Beats, and Life. Learning the business of music benefited me personally because it gave me more control over my career, my legacy. I basically took control of my catalog, and so most of these companies pay directly to me and my business. I make a pretty good living making music full time. So the reason why I want to impart this knowledge onto the youth, I understand the value of this information. So the freedom to be able to own your creations and basically be able to monetize that any way you see fit without asking someone's permission, that's extremely important for me to pass those gems on and give that information to other people. And that's why I'm with WBL. Be sure to enroll in my class at wblinc.org/academy. All right, folks, and we are back with Pinqy Ring. Clap it up, sis.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta add the reggae horn to that.
I know we
got to do that.
We gotta add it back and then bring you back. You know what I mean? So like, because we can't add it and then have a different guest. That kind of be disrespectful. You know what I mean?
So, if you want me to record it, I could and it could just be my voice every time.
Listen, I'm gonna pull it from you doing it throughout the episode, and Listen, someone did that to me at an interview I did years ago. They have a whole game that they play, and they use my voice for the game that they play. It's hilarious.
That. I hope they're paying you some money, some residuals happening.
I just found out, so my lawyer's still working on it. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But in all seriousness, like I briefly want to segue and talk about Next Level. Because you're a part of Next Level, I'm also a part of Next Level. I applied years before I met you, but if it wasn't for you giving me that nod a couple years back, giving me that nudge, I should say, a couple years back, like, hey, you applying? And I hadn't applied in so long, and I was mixing their program with another program that you can actually age out of. I'm over here stroking my beard, like I don't even know if I can still do it. You know what I mean?
First of all, we're 21 forever. First of all,
that's the beauty in hip hop. That's the beauty in hip hop.
Aging gracefully.
Yes, absolutely. But let's talk about Next Level. For those who don't know, give them a little background and talk about what your experience was, because a lot of artists, a lot of hip hop artists in particular, don't know that opportunities like this exist. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Absolutely. It's funny because I'm like the unofficial mascot of Next Level. Like I'm always the one that's like, hey, make sure you apply. Hey, did you apply? Mm-hmm. Hey, where I literally, and it's to my friends that I know that are just on that next level. Ooh, you see what I did there?
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
You. Literally, Junius, the director of Next Level, he just be sick of my shit. He loves me, but he be sick of my shit. Kane be sick of my shit, but it's like I bring the joy and the happiness to them. I feel like they, they just need that in their life. But I'm literally, everything that I do for Next Level comes from a place, like they're not paying me to reach out and be an ambassador and to message people and to tell them to apply. Mm-hmm. When you connect with something so genuinely, you want the world to know, right?
Yeah.
And you have this joy that's unshakable when you experience something so life-changing. You want everybody to be a part of it, especially your friends, especially your peers, especially people that you look up to in the industry where you're like, man, I could see how this person can go across the globe and make a huge difference. So for those that don't know what Next Level is, it is a hip hop diplomacy program that brings hip hop artists and practitioners and educators from the U.S. overseas for a 2-week residency where they teach their element. The really cool thing is they bring one person to represent each element of hip hop. So it's like a super group, like the Avengers of hip hop, to go to this country, teach their element respectively, also do conflict transformation, also do entrepreneurship, put on a big concert at the end, and just see literally in real time the impact of hip hop in all of the world and there is not one country on this earth that has not been impacted deeply by hip hop. And as we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop this year, it's just really dope to know that this hip hop diplomacy program that comes from the State Department that works with the embassies sees the value in hip hop and sees the value in us as individuals. Like when we talk about affirmations, this is one of the greatest affirmations that like you're on your path. It's really difficult to get into this program. That's not to discourage anyone, right? At all. But to big up the people that did get in, like we're bringing the creme de la creme of hip hop artists and hip hop educators overseas to show them that hip hop is more than sometimes what we hear on the radio, what we might see on YouTube, what we might, catch on different shows, right? Hip hop is a transformative tool. Hip hop is a form of self-expression. Hip hop is a way to resolve conflict as well. And so I'm a site manager with Next Level. So I've been an artist on programs and I've also managed programs. I'll actually in 2 weeks, I'm heading to DC for training. So we've got our next batch of artists. So I'll be in DC with them, meeting my team. I don't know what country I'm going to yet, but like, again, this is something that like high school Pinqy is first of all so fucking proud of me because she's like, you did it.
Yeah.
Also, if you would have told her that this is what she would be doing, if you would have told her that the State Department and the U.S. government is going to invest in her and send her overseas and pay her to do this work, I would have been like, you talking crazy. When are the aliens coming to get us? Because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
And so applying for it, becoming a part of the program, and then becoming a manager for the program, I've been able to see this thing on so many different scales and so many different levels. And the most important thing is how people from these countries, first of all, get to meet hip hop artists that they probably wouldn't because of the machine that is the music industry and algorithms and all those things. But they get to see that they too can have full careers based on their creativity, based on their passions, and based on hip hop. Just hearing them. I remember when I was in Cambodia, a lot of the young people only wanted to rap in English because they thought that was the cool thing to do. Here comes Puerto Rican Pinqy Ring, and I'm rapping in Spanish and English, and it was almost like, ooh, let me try that. Right? We have that gives us permission to like honor our language too, our native tongue. Yeah. And I'm like, y'all could do so many things with Khmer language that I don't even, the syllables were syllabling. I was like, do that. And when they did, I was like, that sounds doper, right? Like, you know? And again, it's that idea of we get to go overseas and just live in our truth, in our hip hop truth, and go overseas and inspire young people, especially they're coming from low income, from marginalized communities in these countries. We're able to give them tools, right? So that when it's not like we're coming as the hip hop saviors and we know everything and we're the United States, we're the greatest. Everyone knows the United States be trash often, but it's a really dope concept that as individuals, right? As Pinqy Ring, the Chicago Puerto Rican ratchet radical girl, gets to go to this place and show them what the music industry and what the music career she has done for her as a person and has done for her community. And then they get to sort of replicate those things, and we give them the tools to be able to monetize their art, and again, just to be able to stand in their authenticity and to remember what hip-hop was formed for, and to bring that back to their communities and to come back to that call to like, this is revolutionary work that we're doing here with this. It's a genre of music, but really it's a culture. So shout out to Next Level. I love this. I love Next Level. I am always so honored to be included. Every time they're like, hey, we want you to site manage again. I'm like, me? Who, me? They just need the joy, and they need I'm like the comedic relief for Next Level. But again, I push it so hard because it's like, that changed my life. To go to the first country, to go to Cambodia, and as a hip hop artist, a Chicago Puerto Rican girl from Chicago in Cambodia doing this work, like, it's changed my life, and I saw how it changed the life of the young people that I was working with. And so when you do good work, you want to talk about it and shout it from the mountaintop. So that's Next Level.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that. You know, you had mentioned, you know, as we all know, next month marks 50 years of hip hop. Hip hop turning 50, y'all. And you, granted, we've seen, for those of us who grew up in it, right, we've seen a lot of changes and like you said, I mean, it's worldwide, right? And so what would you say as a female artist, right? What would you say in the last 50 years that you've seen that are some of the advantages of being a female artist and the disadvantages? And
I'm seeing the chats coming in, and I see an organization I work with is on. So shout out to the John Wall Foundation. I love y'all. We're running an apprenticeship program, and I took the day off to come and do this. So I love y'all. I see y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all are my favorite. I love you. So in hip hop, I think the advantages really come from the ways that music has innovated, and that we don't need a machine to do this work, right? I think of artists like Snow the Product, right? I watched Snow the Product go on tour and like sell out arenas and just do all of it and just have a successful career. She doesn't need a label. When I think of someone like Chance the Rapper from Chicago, who didn't need a label to, like, you rubbing elbows with Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? The dope thing about hip hop is that it has always been by us, for us, right? It has always been ingenuity. It has always been Black and brown genius, and we've been able to create something for ourselves out of literal nothing, right? Like plugging up in the Park system, getting these records, and then, you know, looping a break beat and then rapping over it, and then to where we are now. Hip hop has grown in so many ways, and hip hop has allowed so many people to have platforms, have a voice, to make, you know, money like actual money and not just starving artist money. So the advantages are in that, like, you know, we're lucky that we're able to do this work and not need to sell our souls anymore. And you know, being a woman in the hip hop industry, I also am just seeing this resurgence of like women rappers, and I'm here for it. And it's such an interesting conversation because people are like, you know, first of all, I hate female MC. I hate that term, right? Because I'm just an MC. It's not, you know, doctor is not. But my femininity, my womanhood has informed my career, has informed the things that I talk about, has informed the ways that I've had success and also have not had success. So I just love that I'm seeing women like really winning right now, and they're really working together. Like Cardi B is, you know, working with artists from here, and like that's just dope to me that there are so many women that are like winning right now. You know, the disadvantages of hip hop, I would say, is that, you know, what happened was it was able to get sort of taken over by folks with money, right? And that has removed opportunities from some of us. There's this gatekeeping that's happening where it's like, you can't be too, you know, let's be conscious, don't be too conscious, like, you know, be sexual but don't be too sexual, or be overly sexual. And it's just like people feel like they have to adhere to this like cookie cutter mold of what it means to be an artist in the music industry, when really authenticity is where it's at, really individuality is where it's at. And so I think the disadvantages are, you know, we need to take back control. Corporations have really watered down and muddied up what hip hop has meant, and we're coming upon 50 years. How do we take that power back, right? How are we the culture creators in this genre of music, in this culture period? How do we take our power back? And how do we continue to elevate women as well as non-binary and queer artists and all the folks that live on the margins? How do we center them and uplift them? And that's where I think we still have some work to do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. You made me you kind of answered the next question we were going to ask, so we're going to skip ahead a little. But before we do that, something you said made me think about, it was on a De La Soul album. It was an interlude where they referenced something Busta says, where he was like, hip hop is one of the only things that creates jobs for people who don't even love it. You know what I mean? And yeah, and I think a lot of the things that you see that we've lost control over oftentimes are controlled by people who don't have the culture's best interests at heart because they don't love it, you know, or people who lose their way, you know what I mean, who started out loving it and somewhere along the way just got more concerned with the bottom line, you know, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, man, I mean, just to piggyback, or my homegirl would say, the veggie back on what you said.
Who says that? Because my friend Adam 7 says that, and I love it.
Adam 7. Yeah, shout out to Adam 7. Yeah,
I
man.
think whoever that was probably got it from him, and I'm always like, my vegetable.
I don't know. She got him by some years. So
okay.
He got
it from her. I love that. Shout out to my vegetarians.
Yeah, word. Shout out to Ra's an amazing poet, but that's who I got it from. But yeah, I just wanted to oh man, I started thinking about something else funny and lost my train of thought. But real quick, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pivot. So we, with every guest that comes through, we do our rapid fire questions, because I was going to ask you what advice you have for artists, but a lot of what through this whole interview, you've been dropping gems. And there was a lot of great things you just said, closing out your last answer. So we're gonna jump ahead. So rapid fire question time. This is where you go ahead and make your sound. Go ahead. You got it. There it is. All right. And here we go.
So there are 4 questions. And they're basically, you know, we have some comparisons, like this or that.
Okay.
So you can let us know. So the very first one, being from Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago, we're foodies. Okay. And being from Chicago,
Chicago
Chicago
has
has
me in trouble.
Chicago has so many great, food options, as well as they've been very inventive, because Chicago is a melting pot of cultures and people from all over the place. So, number 1, lollipop chicken or jibaritos.
Jibaritos. Come on, you knew what I was gonna say. You know what's funny is as you were saying that, I was like, if you ask me what the best food is from Chicago, I'm gonna say jibaritos because people don't be knowing. And for those that don't know, a jibarito
Please, family,
is a sandwich, or like un sandwich, like my dad would say, un sandwich. Steak. You can also have vegetables. You can have shrimp. You can have pollo, whatever. But the bread.
The bread is
fried plantain.
Honey,
and I tell you, people don't know.
Girl, I'm trying to make a trip.
I didn't know. I just learned.
Listen, garlicky, like you literally cannot kiss someone for 24 to 48 hours unless y'all both had it, and then it's just like a garlicky goodness.
Right.
Goodness.
We out here killing vampires, you know what I'm saying? So
listen,
it's cool.
I'm hot. Get away from me. Back up off me. What people think that the jibarito was invented in Chicago, and the reality is that in Puerto Rico, people were doing things with plantain as bread for a while. What happened was there was a guy who opened a restaurant here called Borinquen. He was inspired by it in Puerto Rico, came to Chicago, made it, perfected it, and then Chicago became the epicenter for the jibarito. So it was not created here, but it was perfected here. And now you can go to Puerto Rico and get it. You could go to New York and get it. Now you go anywhere. Whereas before you would go and ask and they'd be like, what are you even talking about? Because jibarito means a little country person. So they're like, what do you want to eat a little country person for? I don't understand. So shout out to Chicago for
because
that.
They're delicious.
Like, it's so freaking good. People don't understand. It's heaven.
Oh, we gotta make a trip.
I mean, listen, I was out there. I owe you an apology as well, sis. I was in your city. And I forgot to hit you up. I was,
how do I leave this?
Cardinal said, at least I'm man enough to say it in a public setting. I messed up.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
Next time I come through, though,
we coming and we're going to get some abaritos.
Yes,
because I need that in my life.
Anyone that comes here, they know that's where I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them to Humboldt Park. I'm going to show them the steel flags, and I'm going to take them to eat a jibarito. To the point where the Papa's Cache is the place I go to. Shout out to Papa. He knows me, and he's like, "What? Where are these people from?" Because he knows I'm always going to bring someone from somewhere. And he's always like, I love her so much. I love her so much." But she, I love him. Papa is like a staple here in Chicago. So shout out to Papa's Cache. He did not pay us for this advertisement, but if you want to give me a free jibarito, I'll take it.
I mean, we're just saying.
Right. So. Hook her up with a plate. You know? Yeah, a little something. What was it that I had? It was like candied apple, but it was grapes. This was in Chicago. I was at Harold's, one of the Harold's. And it was like candied grapes, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And as soon as I asked the lady what that was, she was like, "Oh, you're not from here." And I was like,
absolutely not.
I'm not, but anyway. All right. Question number 2.
Okay.
You've talked about traveling around the world already. You talked about your time in Italy and Cambodia. We haven't even jumped into Nepal or Argentina. So what I want to ask you is when I say these countries, when I say a country, I want you to just shout out the first thing that comes to mind. You got it?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Nepal.
Oh my goodness. Family and Nepal Hip Hop Foundation. Like I feel like Nepal Hip Hop Foundation, they're doing the work with hip hop in Nepal. So that's what I think of. And they're like my family. So I think of family as well.
Yeah. Dope. Okay. Italy.
Pasta. So much good pasta.
Right. Argentina.
Huepa, because I taught them how to say huepa, which is a very Puerto Rican word. And one of the women who worked at the State Department was a New Yorican, who had been in Argentina for many years, hadn't heard that word in a really long time, and just hadn't seen another Puerto Rican in a long time. So everybody in Argentina be like, "Wepa," because of me. You're welcome.
Yeah. Love it.
Dope. All right. And last but not least, Cambodia.
Frog legs.
Mm.
Because I had my first frog legs there, and they were delicious, and I ate them almost every single day.
Does it taste like chicken?
It tastes just like chicken.
It's wild that you said frog legs. My family's from North Carolina, so yeah, so frog legs is definitely the business down there. I mean, well, not just North Carolina, but like, you know, a few different regions of like in the South, you know, but yeah.
Okay, I know we have to wrap it up, so we have two more. So would you rather teach or perform?
Ooh, perform. And that's because I'm usually teaching when I'm performing anyway, so I find a way to do both.
There you go. There you go. And the last one, I'm gonna leave this to Stan.
Here we go. I'm sorry in advance.
Oh shoot.
Big Pun or Lauryn Hill?
Oh, why would you do that to me?
I'm just the messenger. I actually am not the one that wrote it.
Why would you even do that to me?
You know, I told you it's Black Barbara Walters over here. You know,
I'm gonna get excommunicated from one of two communities: the Puerto Rican community or the woman community. What?
You know?
Man, this is hard. Why would y'all do this?
Look, hon, I apologize in advance, but I was really like, when you think of skill, performance, presence, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so hard. And please nobody like throw a chancla at me or anything. But I would have to say Big Pun, simply because when I was beginning to find my identity as an MC, he was one of the main people that I looked at as a blueprint. And when people hear me rap, they'll be like, she reminds me of Big Pun, because I'll do the double time flow and I'll do the Spanish to English. And so for me, Lauren, something is happening in Chicago. I have no idea what. Someone is doing something. The way that Lauren made me see myself as a woman in hip hop, Big Pun made me see myself as a proud Puerto Rican in hip hop, especially when growing up in a Pentecostal household, we weren't allowed to have very much pride in that. Like I learned about Puerto Rican culture and history, and the effed up history and its relationship with the United States in my in a college course. Shout out to Professor Jose Lopez. I think everyone in Chicago knows who this man is. I took a course at UIC on the history of Puerto Rico and Puerto Rican studies. And so Big Pun, before I was able to take those classes, do those things, have those privileges, like showed me what it looked like to be proud and Puerto Rican. And that wasn't a negative light. It wasn't a negative thing to be Puerto Rican. When growing up, being Latinx or being Puerto Rican was looked on as something negative or something bad. Whereas now I'm like, Wepa, what are y'all even talking about? So I'm gonna have to say Big Pun. I'm gonna have to say Big Pun, but also Lauryn Hill, like, man, just changed my life. You see her on my jacket here, like on the bottom there, that bottom patch, that's her. It also changed my life and helped me to see what it could look like to be a lyrical woman in hip hop.
Yeah, 100%. That's
awesome.
No, great answers. Listen, we know that you are a busy woman and you got to get out of here because you got, what was the phrase you said? You said busy,
booked and blessed.
Busy, booked and blessed. There it is.
Triple B.
Fire right there.
So speaking of which, so what do you have next before we leave? Before we head out of here, what's next for you?
Wow, so many things. I just accepted a position, and shout out to my friends who are joining as the community alchemist for an organization called the John Walt Foundation. John Walt was a really good friend of mine whose life was taken too soon, which is the story of Chicago. And so we do work around youth empowerment and entrepreneurship and engagement and providing them platforms. So we just announced today that we have a stage at Lollapalooza.
Oh, hey.
I'll be hosting that stage, and young people from Chicago will be able to put this on their resumes and say that they were able to
That's
perform
awesome.
at Lollapalooza. So that's on August 4th. I'm heading to DC for next level thing, so I'm excited about that. Haven't announced this yet because the flyer isn't out, but you know, my ARTdustry friends, they get the exclusive. I will actually
Exclusive.
performing all 4 days of Lollapalooza with collaboration, performing some hip hop, 50 years of hip hop with my friend Yuri Lane, who's a beatboxer, and we'll be celebrating 50 years of hip hop. We'll be putting on workshops for kids at Kidsapalooza at Lollapalooza, so on the Kidsapalooza platform, which I'm really excited about because that's a huge festival and it's really dope to be a part of that. So many things, just working, going overseas in January, performing at festivals. And I announced, I believe last week, that I got a grant from the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events here in Chicago. So expect some new Pinqy Ring music coming soon as well. I forgot, you know, I'll be stepping back from the rapping to do the other, but you know, this was the confirmation and affirmation. Like, we need you to back in the booth, give us the bars.
Yeah.
Please. So
You,
new music.
you know, I was going to ask.
I know,
you know,
and everybody, listen. Here's the thing, like,
because her story came out
a long break
a
from
while
releasing
ago.
the project.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I took a long break from releasing music. Like, my last album was like 5 years ago. Because people don't realize how much work goes into that, and money and all of that. So every time that I try, you know, like, I have 12 jobs and I'm helping all these people do these things. And what happened was that I forgot about myself, right? And I forgot about the thing that brought me into all these spaces and places, but also what is the thing that can further extend my impact. And that's by doing this rap thing, right? Being a rapper. My best friend calls it being a rapper girl. She's a singer girl. So I'll be like, I'm a rapper girl again. She's like, you always been a rapper girl. And I'm like, I know, but this money and this support from the city, interestingly enough, I've gotten this grant from them every 3 years, like clockwork. And so that for me is an affirmation. Like, it's time to do that again. It's time to release new music. I was at the studio the other day, so I just recorded a feature with someone, and my engineer was like, "You a part-time rapper? I need you to be a full-time rapper." I was like, "Ooh, why would you even hurt my?" But he was, you know, sometimes you need people to lovingly call you out, and that was the call out that I needed. Like, music needs to come out, you know, and just. There's a lot of, you know, this is the last thing I'll say about it. I was talking to my psychologist the other day, and we were talking about crippling fear, right? And how that prevents us from doing certain things. And she's like, you know, fear can't hurt you, right? Like, physically, fear can't hurt you. But how are you hurting yourself by allowing that fear to stop you from doing things? So like, when I'm thinking about music, I'm like, well, but then if I go to the studio, record a song, then I got to shoot a music video, then I got to pay money, then I got to get people together, then I got to mix and master, and she's like, you see how you're just projecting and you're allowing that crippling fear to stop you. But that's our brain's way of protecting us, right? From something new, from something different, from something outside of the norm that we've been used to, outside of the status quo. And when she was like, you know, fear can't actually hurt you, but what can hurt you is you not allowing yourself to do the things that you need to be doing because you're fearful of the outcome, right? And it's always like, what if it goes wrong? But what if it goes absolutely right? So we're gonna test it out. We're gonna put the theory out there. We're gonna test it out. We're gonna release some new music because the people deserve it, but also because I deserve to live in that artistry again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
sure. That's a great way to close it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Girl, this was so, oh my God. This was so good.
We appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you for making time, you know, for the love that you've shown us from the time we met, you know what I mean? And always wishing you nothing but the best and continued success in everything that you touch, you know?
Thank you, family. And this probably like top 10 interviews. So kudos to y'all.
Hey,
I'm telling you to record that.
I'm telling you, listen.
I said it enough times on this. I think we got it.
We got it. Listen, I got the ability to isolate all her vocals too, get it clean. You know what I'm saying?
Don't create a whole game show around me though, please.
I ain't gonna do the game show thing. You know, and if we do, we got you. We're gonna cut the check.
Yeah,
we got
checks in the mail. Checks in the mail.
Right.
Yes, Queen. Well, you know, thank you so much. I mean, this has been not only uplifting for us, I'm sure for our for those listening and watching out there. Like, you know, if you liked what you see and heard, please like and subscribe and repeat and watch it and sample it and take it
and go and follow her
Exactly.
and listen to her music,
Absolutely.
support what she's doing in the world, because she's making a great contribution to her community and the various communities that she touched. So you know, so yeah, just once again, we're gonna clap it up for Pinqy Ring, aka because she's from the Chi, the female D Rose, as she said on her song Lipstick.
Come on, Bars. Come on.
Okay, I got you. Listen, I be listening. You know what I'm saying? I know.
Like archivists up in here. Y'all just dug deep. I like it.
Listen, we do our homework, okay?
Yeah,
Most people don't.
I
That's why I'm
try
like,
to
this has
be-
been a really good interview, because you know it's engaging for me as well. So thank you all for all you do and for providing this platform for us artists to talk about this work.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure. It's our
absolutely.
pleasure. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Yes.
But you have a great one. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. Who do we have next week?
Next week we have.
Or do we have the week off?
We actually have the week off.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right,
we're off next week. That's
we're
right.
off next week because we got a wedding to go to.
Right, you know, listen,
so we
you know
taking a break
because we gotta get fresh, you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. And listen, y'all, I'm still looking for that rich husband so they could go to another wedding. So
we'll keep an eye out for you.
Keep an eye out
You know what I
for
mean?
you. You know when he, yes, we got you
right now.
I love it. Love it.
You should have never gave me a microphone, y'all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for tuning in.
Yes.
Y'all have a great one. We will catch you in 2 weeks. Do you know who the guest is after that though? I have no idea. I know it's another amazing.
Yes, we have
though.
the rest of the season
is all women.
Is
right?
all women. So we have but yes, we'll keep you posted.
We'll keep you posted.
We'll keep you posted.
All right. But and lastly, be sure to join us at Otakon. We will be at Otakon. We'll have a flyer for the next episode. But you can catch us doing sketch pads at Otakon. And shout out to everybody who came to see us, nearly 100 deep in the sketch pads panel at BlurredCon. That was amazing. Thank y'all so much. And for everybody who stopped by the booth over the weekend. And those of you who I saw in New York as well, supporting GMS. So everybody have a great one. We done for real this time. Pinqy, we love you. Thank you for coming through, sis. And we'll catch you next time, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to Artistry, where art meets industry. Season 4 of Artistry is powered by Words Beats and Life. Visit www.wblinc.org to learn more. This podcast is produced by Substantial Art and Music. For more information, please visit www.subartandmusic.com. You can also follow us on social media at Sub Art and Music. Peace.